Alright, so, the rules in this contest are clear. This will be a 5-minute wolf bout, Renee shouted, as all of the people in the party began to gather, moving into a very large circle around our central location, among which Renee's mother and father were there as well, seeming to stand right along with everyone else, watching intently. Everyone else seemed to be in quite the uproar, mumbling and talking amongst themselves as everyone formed the circle. Now, Sylvester, you of course know that my husband is a newborn. He has yet to master the transformation. As such, he will be utilizing transformation tablets. This is of course why there is a 5-minute hard time limit, at which point the confrontation will end. This is not a bout to the death. It is simply a show of each wolf's strength. The fight will begin once the pills take effect and my husband transforms into his wolven state, at which point the battle will commence. Sylvester Gibbons simply stood there in his perfectly pressed tuxedo, smoothing back his hair and adjusting his perfectly maintained gloves. It didn't look like there was a stain on this guy. For a moment, Sylvester actually stopped, looking over to Renee's father. Master Hollowfield, as pack leader, you do have the ability to call this to an end. That is, if you don't want your dear son-in-law injured. At that point, Renee's father left the outer rim of the circle surrounding us, walking towards Sylvester very calmly. He stood beside him for a moment, before placing his hand on Sylvester's shoulder. Sylvester, you have been a loyal member of this pack for over 80 years. You have made great strides to ensure the safety and security of this pack. Despite your personality, people here have placed a great deal of trust in your ability. And as a member of this pack, I think it only right to do this, to give you a warning, Sylvester. It was at that moment that Sylvester's face dropped the smile. What? He said, in a low tone. You are strong, Sylvester. Stronger even so than your tier. I have no doubt that any time soon you could move up to level 2 rather than a level 3 wolf. With your strength, there's no doubt the increase will come soon enough. However, I tell you this here and now. Do not be foolish enough to believe in what you see. I know he may appear plain, that he is not cultured or refined, that he even seems a bit easygoing. But I have already sparred with him myself, before he ever even became a wolf. And even as a human being, he possessed extraordinary strength and abilities, far surpassing that of the average person. He may seem plain, but he has a knack for combat that is most definitely uncanny, and is well trained to boot. You're strong, Sylvester, but in a one-on-one fight with him, no holds barred, strength and speed versus strength and speed, skill versus skill. I'm sorry to tell you this, Sylvester, but you are not his equal. If you continue with this match, you'll find very quickly that even if he wasn't of the lost bloodline, his tier and ability would be more than enough to claim victory against you. He may look like a slouch, but I assure you he does not fight like one. If you insist on having this match, you may do so of your own accord. But no, Sylvester, Renee's father said as he turned around and began walking away. not even bothering to look back at Sylvester as he continued to talk. "No, Sylvester, that you have no chance of victory. Give it all you have, but it won't matter in the end," he said, as he finally took his place on the outside of the crowd, next to his wife. Sylvester Givings, well, he looked furious. Well, a mixture of furious and beginning to grow worried, as if his mouth just wrote a check that he's now unsure of whether he can cash or not. Absurd. He's just a newborn, tier 5 or not. "Very well. I agree to the terms. The fight will commence. Take your pill, and let's see this strength of yours." I stepped out towards the center of the very large circle that they had formed, taking a deep breath. "Now, you're absolutely sure you want to do this, right? I mean, I'm still willing to let you back out. Just shut up and take your pill," Sylvester replied. "Have it your way, man," I said as I reached into my pocket, grabbing the small bottle that Renee had given me, removing a single pill and swallowing it down, corking the bottle and putting it back in my pocket. And from there, just waited. As I did, the surrounding crowd continued their discordant conversations. Some of them were concerned about my well-being. Others thought Sylvester might be biting off more than he can chew. But regardless of which side they stood on as far as who they thought was going to win, everyone seemed to be in bated breath as to what my woven transformation would look like. And after about a minute passed, they got to find out, as I began to feel that rush of sensations again, the chills and waves of heat, the flow of different emotions and feelings just rushing through, as my body began to change, that light beaming out from me, the silver swirls of energy, and the swirl of wind that I seemed to emanate, as I took full form as a wolf. As I did, Sylvester Givings did the same. However, his transformation wasn't anything like mine. As he began to transform, there was something like a shockwave, like a burst of outward wind and a solid gust that seemed to swirl around him in heavy amounts, almost forming a very contained whirlwind, one strong enough that it, well, blew things away. Tables tipped over. People's clothes rustled in the strong breeze that it seemed to produce. And as it began to diminish, there Sylvester was, no longer a human being, but a wolf. His form was much different than mine. He seemed much more gangly, having gray, patchy fur that wasn't really full. It seemed to come and go in patches, not looking, well, healthy, like a mangy dog. His teeth weren't pristine and orderly like mine. No, they looked jagged, some of them out of place, more rabid than mine did. He definitely looked more savage than me. But even though Sylvester Givings had transformed, all eyes seemed to be on me. Now, in my wolf transformation, my hearing seemed to be even better. Now able to pick out multiple conversations and statements, hearing them all at once. And everyone seemed to be taken back by my transformation, saying that they had never seen a physical form like that in a werewolf, especially remarking upon my extraordinarily long tail, saying that there's no doubt that I'm of a bloodline that they haven't seen before, wondering if all members of the lost bloodline will share this appearance, and how powerful I was really going to be. The problem being, I think Sylvester could hear it too. And the fact that he wasn't the center of their conversation seemed to just anger him even more.